Alright guys, welcome back. We're through 2 weeks of the NFL season now. About to start week 3. I'm in my nice comfortable blue chair. It got wet, that's why I was in the white one. So we're fixed up there. We're gonna go ahead and do our week 2 recaps. We're a little behind this week because we've been pretty busy. So
yeah, it's been a crazy week, folks. It's gonna be crazier next.
Still gonna have everything posted, but I got off work a lot next week, so I should have our show written up and everything. So all we should need to do is come in and crank out film.
I don't have awful lot next week, but we're going. I don't care.
We'll still be up.
I don't care how much work I got. I'm still doing this.
Still be up.
Nothing's gonna break it.
So now we decided to come up with a new way to pick our games of the week. If you've been watching, you know me and Brett have this little competition going on between us that we pick the games of the week, we do our predictions on every game, and we decided that if you win the week, you pick the most games correctly, and you pick the most scores correctly, then you get to pick 2 of the 3 games of the week. So Brett went 14-2, and
I shouldn't.
And he won.
I should have been 16-0.
Well, we'll talk about that whenever we do our next week's predictions.
Yes,
we'll give you a little recap of that. And we're also going to do now a player of the week. And we got one picked out for this week, so we'll get
that
to
one
that.
last. But first, let's
go ahead and start
our
our
game.
Week 2 recap, first game of the week.
All right, beloved Buffalo fans, I talked a lot of crap beginning of the season. I've apologized. So for making us feel a bit better, I picked them the game of the week. They were down by 18 points. 18. Crawled out of the hole, 38-35. Buffalo with a game-winning touchdown by Ryan Fitzpatrick. He threw for 3 touchdowns, 264 yards. He's starting to look pretty legit.
Right, and so is Stevie Johnson. Stevie Johnson putting up better numbers than most of the other wideouts in the league. He came close to 100, didn't he?
Yeah, he had 8 catches with 96 yards and a touchdown. Yep. I mean, he had 3... Fitzpatrick spread the ball around.
No.
He ain't singling anybody out, but I mean, Stevie Johnson's definitely his number 1 right now, but he's a little worried because his groins bother him now after this game, so we'll see what happens.
No, I had come home from work and had the NFL Network on, and it just had the little like score recap things going on, and it had said Oakland score, Buffalo score, with Buffalo losing. Buffalo has the ball in the red zone. I sat there and stared at this little score thing, and it was the most exciting 35 seconds of my life. And then all of a sudden it flips. Buffalo scores. Our whole house went wild. It was insane.
I got the luxury of seeing it. I'm sitting there. Work calls me, and I'm trying to do a work and watch the game, and they're asking me questions, and I'm like, oh my God! I start losing my mind. Work thought I was a mental patient. I couldn't. I lost it.
And that's why that's game of the week.
Yeah.
So then the next game of the week, I definitely watched this one.
I was with. We pretty much talked the whole way through the game.
Pretty much the whole game. This was the Falcons and the Eagles. Now I'm gonna admit, the first quarter, the first drive, it's Michael Turner, bang, bang, bang. I was like, Eagles linebackers have no chance. And then Vic started to play like last year's Michael Vick, and we started to look real bad.
But you know what happened? Mike Vick got hit.
Well, before that even happened, Tony G decides, hey, guess what? I'm going back to Kansas City days, and he just tore it up. A crazy one-handed touchdown catch, and then later on, Vic did get hurt. If you didn't see the play, Google it, YouTube it, find the play, because Vic gets wrapped up and brought down after he throws the pass, cracks one of his offensive linemen, helmet to helmet. He gets up, he's spitting up blood, and this guy named Kafka comes in. Kafka from Northwestern.
In his senior year of college, he led his conference in passing, in touchdowns and in yards. When I saw that, it actually kind of made me worried, because I mean, he was playing in the same division as Ohio State, as Michigan, Penn State. I mean,
so yeah, he wasn't a bad quarterback, but I mean, no one really heard anything about him, unless you're an Eagles fan. Then I mean, you knew who he was, because Eagles fans did want him actually as the number 2 instead of Vince Young. But Vince Young was hurt, so Kafka goes in and
he He did pretty solid for what he had. I mean, he had to go into the Georgia Dome in the fourth quarter.
Pretty
and come
solid.
back.
He carved us up. Let's be real about it.
I'm going to be real, because you know what? Honestly, you should have won the game.
If not for Michael Turner's one
Macklin,
huge... Well, right, yeah.
off the numbers in the end zone game, and what? You can't catch the ball?
But I think there's a good reason to why Macklin dropped that pass. Earlier in the game, Dante Robinson, helmet to helmet,
Purposely.
sought him out and cracked him.
He didn't care.
And he didn't care, but Macklin did, and I think coming across the middle, Macklin might have been looking around.
Got it in his head.
And the ball bounces off his chest. But we had a big run by Michael Turner that just changed his whole game.
I was screaming at the top of my lungs. I couldn't believe it. For all purposes, you're all wondering why I lost my mind. I'm not a Falcons fan. I won fantasy this year. I was yelling him the whole game, do something, do something. He does something. I started screaming. Boom. Next thing you know, same drive, busted in, touchdown.
Yeah.
Michael Turner, San
Michael
Diego
Turner got
years.
it done. He got it done at the end of the game, and that's really all that mattered, even though he was held in check by the Eagles for a good bit of the game.
You said we saw Mike Vick from last year at first, but at the end of the game, we saw the Mike Vick we all know and love. He got sacked about like 4 times.
Right, there was a pick in the game that clearly bounced off the turf when the Falcons intercepted it, and Andy Reid didn't challenge it. I don't know what he was doing. This game had a bunch of chippy, ugly plays from both sides, a bunch of bad calls from the refs, but
4 sacks, if I'm correct on Vick. 3 forced fumbles, and they lost 2 of them. I really think this
he was sloppy.
That play, he holds the ball like a loaf of bread.
Right, he was sloppy, and we were ready for it. But the Eagles came ready too.
Yeah, it was equally
Asante
sloppy.
Samuel had an insane interception, but Matt Ryan did have his first ever 4 touchdown game. Like, and I had told Brett about it, and he was actually surprised because, I mean, you think Matt Ryan, he's 4 touchdowns every now and then.
He's not. He's actually...
But that was his first ever time, and we really needed it. So, we'll go to our next game of the week.
Next game.
I didn't think this should have been game of the week, but Brett won our contest, so he picked it.
Let me explain the reasoning behind this game. I didn't pick it for the game itself, what happened. And to be honest, the game was sloppy. It was downright ugly. But it's for the reason what happened after the game. I'm a Giants fan, I admit that, but I did pick Giants and Rams, but not for that simple reason. Giants won 28-16. Now there's an issue going on. Sam Bradford's pointing fingers, blaming that the Giants defense were faking injuries. They get timeouts, so it can mess up with Bradford's motions, mess up with his timing, everything.
Here's my argument to that real quick. You know what we call that in the real world? We call that strategy.
Yeah.
Teams have done that for a very long time.
For years. And I mean, is it right? Probably not. It's really not. It happens in baseball. It happens in the NBA. I mean, heck, a year ago, Derek Jeter took a ball off the bottom of the bat and said it hit him. It didn't even touch him. But he got the base and he got on and he scored.
All sports have flaws.
You're going to see it happen. Do I agree with it? No. Is it going to happen? Yeah. And then... they probably did it. I mean, the coach just came out and said, do I teach them how to do it? If they want to know how, I'll show it to them. So, I mean, yeah, they probably did it.
Yeah, but everybody learns.
Yeah.
Everybody learns. And especially like in the NBA and in soccer, you learn how to take a play and turn it into something more. That way you get a call. Because those kind of calls and those kind of timeouts in the NFL, they change the game. So if you're going to help your team out by faking an injury...
But how do you know? How do you know? I mean, unless you get the Justin Tuck gets hit and God grabs his like right knee, and then the next play, God, he drops again and grabs the left. Okay, then you might know. Right. But how do you really know? We don't.
Right.
But now let's get to the statistics of the game. Eli, 223 yards, 1 interception. Excuse me, 1 interception. Can he just go 1 game without throwing a pick?
There was a crazy catch by
Dominic Hickson.
Dominic Hickson was who it was. I watched the play, he juggles it and he catches it, and they replay it, and I was like, oh man, he twisted his ankle, that's pretty bad.
He'll be fine.
Brett calls me after the game and he's like, hey, he tore his ACL. I was like, oh wow.
He's out for this season.
So what you're telling me is the Giants have no starters playing ever?
Our wide receiving core, I'll say ours because I stayed a former Giants fan. Hakeem Nicks, our number one, has been our number one all season. Awesome. We have him. Number two running right now is Victor Cruz, who no one remembers from last year except for the preseason when he tore up last preseason.
He's that Spanish movie star, isn't he?
I think he might be in one of those little fancy soap operas in Mexico.
Right, yeah. Days of Our Lives,
yeah.
Spanish version.
Yeah.
Right.
And then our number three, we just signed this past week, and I'm excited for this one. I've always loved him, Brandon Stokely.
He's a good player.
You put him in the slot, he's going to get you about 4 catches a game for probably about a good 40 yards.
He's a good player.
That's what he does. I mean, it's his job. He's been like that. He did it in Indy. He did it with Baltimore. I mean, everywhere he's gone, he's done it. That's what he's going to do.
Giants are banged up. They got a lot of injuries this season.
I would go down the list, but we don't have enough time
we don't
for
have
that.
enough time. And we got to get to our player of the week.
We'll talk about injury real quick. Rams, Steven Jackson. You don't have them. You
Yeah.
need them. The rest of your team, 59 yards in the game as a team.
You can't win. You're not going to win 59 yards.
3.1 yards average per rush.
You're not going
You
to
ain't
win 59 yards because the Rams aren't built to be a gunslinging team yet.
No.
I think Sam Bradford can eventually do it.
But not yet.
Because he's really talented, but not yet. Not this early.
Gunslinging.
Gunslinging, so we will get to our...
Gunslinger pulls to our player of the week.
player of the week.
Oh, and it
Oh.
fell.
Blooper reel.
Well, yeah, I can't wait for that special.
Bang. Bang. Tony Romo. Jessica Simpson. Win.
He played like she was still around.
He played like she used to look. Amazing.
Yes.
Tony Romo, I wanted this game to be the 100% game of the week. Let me tell you what this game had. Had one of our favorite players, Patrick Willis, running around the field. Had broken bones.
Check.
Had a Dallas Cowboys America team quarterback.
Check.
Had reality television stars. Yeah. The guy that changed this game, I mean, Tony Romo comes in, cracked ribs. It was the greatest scene in the game. John Kitna throws a pick, comes over the sideline. Tony Romo's got his Dallas Cowboys hat on backwards like he always does. He's tossing balls around on the sideline, upset because they wouldn't let him come back in. He walks over to Kitna. You couldn't tell what they were saying, but he says something to Kitna. They both start to laugh. Romo takes his hat off, chucks it on the ground, slaps his helmet on, and everyone's like, "Are you serious?"
Everyone else, I'm sitting like, "Oh God, what a joke!" But Tony Romo's head, he's going, "It's game time."
Yeah, and he comes out, and guess who he finds? Jesse Hawley. Now, you'll remember a couple years ago, Jesse Hawley wins Michael Irvin's reality show, gets a spot on the Cowboys lineup. Romo's pumped. He specifically goes and talks to Jesse Hawley. He's like, "Hey, me and you, we're getting this done." He goes out, bang, bang, bang. Jesse Hawley, you could tell that he was so excited to be on the Cowboys.
He was almost crying.
He catches his pass. He runs down the field with the defender hanging on his back, and he's holding the ball in the air, celebrating. And everyone watching the game's like, "Tuck the ball away! What are you doing?"
He don't care.
He don't care. Luckily,
his hand would not let go of that. He was so excited. It was so tight. It just clawed on.
Luckily, he didn't fumble. He goes down at the 1. The game goes into overtime. Field goal, bang. Dallas wins. Tony Romo with 345 yards. Broken ribs.
Broken ribs and a punctured lung.
He's our player of the week.
Now, I will put a little side note for that game. A lot of people didn't talk about it because we were all excited about the ending of the game. Miles Austin, 3 touchdowns.
Right.
Hasn't been done in Dallas since Terrell Owens.
Right.
So, I mean, it was an exciting week, folks. I enjoyed it. He enjoyed it.
It was a good week.
We're hoping you enjoyed it. Just like you're going to enjoy our next video on
Which
our predictions for next week.
Which will be our predictions. So stick around. And we do got another hot button coming this week.
Yeah, we do.
I know we got a few people viewing our Teddy Bruschi one, so this one's pretty much going to stay in the smack talking area.
Yep.
So stick around for that, and we'll see you next week.
Yep. Stay tuned.